So, the economy is doing this. Cost of living and energy prices are doing this. That's probably why you're watching this video and perhaps thinking about solar panels. So let's take a look at some of the things that you need to be considering before making that commitment. Roof orientation and pitch. So pitch, let's talk about that. Closer to 45 degrees, the better, in order to catch the most amount of sun as it moves across the sky. More importantly than pitch, however, is the orientation of your roof. The optimal orientation, of course, is south-facing. East and west can also work. They could perhaps be on separate strings. That way, when the sunlight isn't on the east panels, but it's on the west panels, you don't lose any potential generation. Shading can also be a factor. If you have trees around you or nearby buildings, even chimneys on your own roof or neighbouring roofs, you do need to take all of that into consideration, more so in the winter months when the sun is lower in the sky. So you need to check around the perimeter of your property and look for potential issues. Your usage pattern. So we're only looking at solar panels today. I may do a separate video on battery storage, but if you're only looking at solar panels, you really do need to consider your usage pattern. If you're out most of the day, really quite a bit, and aren't using a lot of energy, then solar panels on their own may not be the best solution for you, because of course you can only use the electricity they generate if you're at home to be able to use it. There's no point being out and about when your solar panels are generating the most electricity if you're not there to use it. Myself, I work from home, so it's largely a moot point, so to speak. I can charge my car whilst I'm at home, I can cook lunch while I'm at home, I can get dinner prepared whilst I'm at home in advance and just heat it up later in the evening. So I've managed to work my lifestyle around when my panels are generating, so that may be something you wish to consider as well. Do you have an EV? Now, I imagine most of us will be moving to an EV at some point when it becomes too expensive or unviable to actually maintain a petrol car in the UK. When we do get to that point, you do need to consider if you have the right tariff. Are you charging overnight? Or with solar panels, you may be able to charge your EV during the day. Payback period. This is a tricky one. This is a summary video, so I'm not going to go into specific calculations, but you really do need to work with your installer to figure out what your annual usage is and how much you're likely to save each year on your panels. Now, in terms of energy prices at the moment, they are through the roof. They are hovering around I'm paying 39 pence per unit during the day. That is rather expensive. The plus side to that is it does actually reduce the payback period for my solar panels. If, however, those prices do eventually come down, if inflation and cost of living does actually come down, I'm slightly skeptical on that. But if it does, it is something that you have to consider, that your payback period gets longer the lower the energy prices come down. So at the moment, it may be something that is very worth considering. And either way, your panels will pay themselves back. Most will outlive any payback period. Don't get me wrong, your panels will pay for themselves, absolutely. It's just a question of when. On average, at the moment, if I had to use sort of a real ballpark figure, my panels are looking like they're probably going to take about 7 to 8 years to pay themselves back. After that, of course, it's all free energy. So it is something that's worthwhile. And do you consider payback periods when you're looking at things like remodeling a kitchen or a bathroom? No. So this is one of those household improvements that actually does have a return on investment. Now, going back to your usage patterns, it's not necessarily the end of the world if you can't use everything that your panels are generating during the day whilst you're not at home. You can get paid for energy that you export over and above what your property uses. However, the prices for those are a little bit shocking at the moment, to say the least. As of the time of this video, the highest paying standard export tariff is around about 5 pence per kilowatt. When you compare that to an import cost per kilowatt of around about 39 pence, it does feel a little bit like daylight robbery on behalf of the energy suppliers. The Smart Export Guarantee only states that you have to pay a customer that's exporting energy above 0 pence per kilowatt. So really it's down to the energy suppliers as to how much they actually pay for your exported energy usage. On average around about 5p. There is a supplier in the UK, Octopus Energy, that has a few extra tariffs, but there are some caveats to those tariffs, i.e. if you have an EV and you're on one of their electric vehicle tariffs, you can't have their optimal export tariff. So there are a few things to consider around tariffs, which I won't go into today, but on average, sort of a no strings attached kind of export tariff, around about 5p per kilowatt, which isn't great, but it is something if you're not around to use that energy during the day. Do make sure you're choosing a reputable installer. That is one thing that I must drill home. Make sure that who you are using has the right accreditations and the right qualifications to make sure they can do the job adequately. This is something that's going to be on your roof, which is an integral part of your property, for many, many years. It's not something that needs to be cowboyed into existence. So for the sake of maybe price, just make sure that whoever you're using does have all the right tools, equipment, qualifications, certifications, you name it. You can find that information online because it does really depend on where you are in the world as to what the actual minimum requirements are for a certified installer. Just make sure they are legit. If need be, if it means paying slightly more, going with a more nationwide installer, if that's your comfort zone, then absolutely do that. But if you are checking out local installers for your solar panels, just make sure they've got everything legitimately and that they are actually qualified to carry out the work for you. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If there is anything specific you'd like me to cover, do drop a comment below and I'll look into perhaps doing a video on something more specific. In terms of a high-level overview, I hope you got something out of this today. If you are considering solar, it would really help if you liked and subscribed if you haven't already. Really helps me to grow the channel and just lets me know that what I'm putting out there is good content. I hope you take care of yourselves, everyone. Thanks. See you soon.